Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we don't need to be funding, decisions that women make like that. As a Christian, I don't believe in abortion, so I don't think that I should have to pay for people to do that. So I'm not in agreement with that at all, and I do agree with his policy.
That one is a little bit tougher to answer. I feel like there's more parts to that question. If I understand correctly, Trump does not believe in abortion unless it has to do with rape, incest, or affects the mother's health, in which case he would support abortion. The part where to end government funding, I'm really confused about. So I don't know if I agree with that or not, because he supports abortion in certain areas but not. I don't understand where the government funding comes in, so I don't have a stand on that.
Absolutely.
You do? Okay.
If you don't have the right to bear arms, if you look historically at government, poor countries that are run by dictators, a common denominator is none of the citizens have weapons to defend themselves against the government. So if you look historically at that, whether or not you believe in having a gun, that's your personal choice, but you really should understand that the right of that is really keeping the government in line much more than anything else you do.
Okay.
I don't agree with abortion. That is one thing that totally turned me against Hillary Clinton. I do not think it should be a state or a federally funded program. So I guess I would say yes, I agree with his stance on that.
Okay. Do you agree with Trump's abortion policy to discontinue government funds for abortion?
That's a tough one. I don't believe in abortion for just birth control's sake. That's terribly wrong. I've had friends of mine that have had to have abortions, and it was a horrific thing, and they carry that with them their whole life. I do believe that abortion should be legal for cases of rape or incest. To blanketly say you should never have an abortion. I have 2 daughters, and I'd never want that to happen to them, to anyone. But when you get into it should be federally funded, I think some of that should come back to the states. So on one hand, I don't like the idea. On the other hand, some of these things are being controlled out of Washington, and I do believe it should be states' issues and decisions by the states. I think a rational argument can be made, and not a blanket statement that's always wrong, because I don't agree with that, even though I'm a Christian. But to totally fund it.
I do agree with Trump's abortion policy. I think that is a great idea. You should be the one paying for the full abortion, and other people should not have to pay for it through taxes.
Absolutely, because I don't think that I should have to pay for somebody else's mistakes, or I shouldn't have to pay for somebody else who wants an abortion. It's not what I believe, and it's not something that is bettering the country, like the military, like the taxes that go to the military, or other things like that. So I do.
Yes, because I personally believe that abortions are wrong.
I agree with Trump's abortion policies. I do not believe in abortion, and I do not believe that government money should be spent in any way to perform abortions.
Yes, I agree with Trump on the abortion. Yes, I totally agree that abortion should be illegal and that once you conceive a baby, you should be a responsible adult and take care of it. Or at least have the option of putting it up for adoption.
I personally think abortion should be paid for by the government. In the long run, it's saving money. It might cost a couple $1,000s or whatever, but in the long run, if that family can't afford to support that child for the rest of its life, welfare would cost more than the abortion itself. I also think a woman should be able to do whatever she wants with her body. It literally doesn't affect me in any way, shape, or form. If you don't like abortions, then don't get one.
Do you agree with Trump's policy on gun control to abide by the Second Amendment, which is the right to bear arms?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You do? Okay.
If you don't have the right to bear arms, if you look historically at governments, poor countries that are run by dictators, a common denominator is none of the citizens have weapons to defend themselves against the government. So if you look historically at that, whether or not you believe in having a gun, that's your personal choice, but you really should understand that the right of that is really keeping the government in line much more than anything else you do.
Okay.
I believe that we have the right to bear arms. It is like so many other things, it's a responsibility. You're responsible for how you use those. With all responsibilities, there's consequences. Or maybe I should say with all privileges, there are consequences. But I do think you should have the right to bear arms, yes.
Do you agree with his policy on gun control to abide by the Second Amendment, which is the right to bear arms?
Absolutely.
You do?
And no question about it. This is not an amendment. It's the Second Amendment that our founding fathers brought. And if you think back and look back in history during this time and why this was added to our Constitution, because of the worry of dictatorships, the worry about other people coming in. People will say, well, you don't need automatic rifles and such for deer hunting. It's not a question of deer hunting. So this is all, I think, should, stay away from it completely. The cities with the toughest gun control, Chicago, Detroit, Washington, and there's a fourth. Everybody says, well, we have such violent crime in the United States. If you took away these four cities, we're like number 3 in the world. So it's not a gun issue. Yes, I don't have a problem with background checks and such, but to say blanketly, I'm going to take away your guns. Here in Texas where I'm working, Georgia where I'm from, where I've lived, there are a lot of folks that have guns that have a real issue with that. And mostly it's people that have no clue about, owning a gun. But the people I know that own guns, no one's ever shot anyone. But I've known a lot of people that they need it for self-defense.
Yes, I do agree with Trump's policy on gun control. I think that is a wonderful idea.
Absolutely, because it's obviously in the amendments. It's there to keep the power with the people and prevent government from getting too big, like it will be if Clinton wins. And people often say that less guns would be a more safe America, but I tend to believe that if more average citizens have guns and they are qualified and trained to have them, that a lot less things would happen. And they say if you can't buy guns, criminals can't get them. Well, drugs are illegal and people still get drugs, and there will always be ways to find guns if you're looking to do bad things. So I think the more people that have guns that are good, the better off we are.
Do you agree with Trump's policy on gun control to abide by the Second Amendment, which is the right to bear arms?
Yes, because people should have the right to protect themselves.
Go. I agree with Trump's policy on the Second Amendment and the right to bear arms. I think that was one of the big premises that our United States was created with and for, and I think that people need to be able to bear their arms and keep their arms legally.
So I agree with that 100%.
Which is the right to bear arms.
Yes, I do agree that people should be able to carry a gun and have weapons in their home, but just be responsible and make sure that, you know, that they're using it in the correct way.
I'm gonna apologize to whoever is watching this, but I think gun control should be reformed. So yeah, I agree with Hillary. I'm pretty against people getting murdered in movie theaters, so I think something should be done to change that. And yeah, go anti-guns.